wars, and most recently, of course, the COVID pandemic, treating hundreds in intensive care.
And this weekend, St Bart's celebrates its 900-year history. It's such an extraordinary number there. When I first heard it, I thought it almost can't be true. And John Maguire is there for us this morning. John, it's a magnificent building, the outside of where you are there, with an incredible history.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Charlie. I agree with you. 9 centuries, founded in 1123. I couldn't believe it either, to think that this site, and it pretty much has been a similar footprint over the last at least 100 years or so, has been providing healthcare to the local population, so around 1.5 million people at the moment in East London, but also with some of its specialties, with cardiac and with cancer care as well, right across the country. Some of the expertise here is world-leading. 9 centuries of history. We'll find out now about what that history's meant, what's happening at the moment at the hospital, and also their plans for the future. The story of St Bartholomew's Hospital is the story of healthcare itself. Created by Rahir, a monk, to look after the sick of East London who were too poor to afford treatment, this deed, written in Latin and preserved in the hospital archive, denotes its foundation in 1123. And 9 centuries on, it's still providing care, despite infrequent obstacles, such as Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries cancelling its income. But, following a concerted campaign, Bart's was saved, a decision signed off by the king himself.
We know that this was issued a couple of weeks before Henry died, so I don't know if he'd been worn down in his illness. And there was also actually a lot of concern kind of in terms of public health about infectious disease, about plague, about syphilis, which was quite a new illness. And there's reference to the kind of the sick poor lying in the streets who need somewhere to be cared for.
So this is probably our most advanced bit of equipment in the radiotherapy department. So this is called a cyberknife, and it's a fusion of robotics with radiotherapy technology.
These days, the hospital provides some of the best cardiac and cancer care in modern medicine.
If you select the patient very carefully, you can use this type of machine to deliver radiotherapy with pinpoint accuracy to essentially ablate, to destroy that spot of disease within the patient's body, whether it's in their liver, their lung, their spine, and we've seen some great results come from using this type of treatment.
Andy is on his 24th visit for radiotherapy for prostate cancer. What a way to celebrate a birthday.
I had a diagnosis 5 years ago.
Wow.
I had a prostatectomy then, and so I've been monitored by the NHS ever since, and last year it reached the level which triggered the suggestion of further treatment. So then this machine comes into play. I don't think you could get anything much better, could you?
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
I mean, I think this unit's 12 years old. I think this machine's only a couple of years old, and so they look after us.
Good. Yeah. And happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
And many more to come.
Let's hope so.
That's the most important thing, isn't
Let's
it?
hope so.
Many more to come. Great stuff. Bart's was visited recently by the king. Among those he met was Nell Badresha, a survivor of what's known as triple-negative breast cancer. Aggressive, and until recently, survival was unlikely. But staff here are helping to change that, and Nell has been given the all-clear.
Cancer to me felt like a death sentence. I was devastated, beyond devastated. I was shattered, everything, my world imploded. But the one thing that I latched onto was my oncologist, because she was so honest and hopeful, and she used the word curable in my meeting. And it wasn't something I was expecting, but if she thinks that there's hope that I can do this, then I can do this, and that's what I latched onto.
Along with its long history, the hospital has ambitious plans for the future. A new breast cancer centre that will bring all aspects of treatment under one roof.
The dream is to make my job go away. That we have such effective ways of diagnosing cancer and breast cancer early and treat it well, that ultimately in the future, if a patient comes through the door, we can, rather than saying what we do at the moment, we can treat you extremely well. We hope, and you're most likely cured at the end. My dream would be to be able to say you will be cured. And that's still a big step ahead.
For staff working here, sometimes across various sites, it's a game changer.
Super locating everything onto one site means we've got access, all those patients have equal access to research opportunities. Even if there's not a trial applicable to them, they can donate their tissue into our tissue bank. That means that future generations of research proposals can pull on that tissue to be able to make more treatment opportunities for patients.
Also, the care would be more holistic and waiting times reduced.
Waiting for scans, waiting to get treatment started, waiting for test results. Actually, with the creation of the breast centre, having everything under one roof, will actually allow us to have more capacity and more leeway to actually be able to see patients a lot sooner.
And of course,
Redevelopment work rarely stops in city centre hospitals, but this is unique. One of the buildings has 2 huge paintings by the famous 18th century artist William Hogarth, which, in the future, will be open to the public, to patients and to staff.
The hospital areas are incredible technical, clinical spaces, but what you have here is something different, a place that people can come and relax, unwind. It can be an aid to recovery and reflection. So we want it to be as relevant now as it was when the building was first finished 300 years ago.
It comes as no surprise that an institution that's lasted 900 years through fire, war and political upheaval has done so because it looks not just to the past, but also to the future. So much history, but so much ambition. The fountain's just been turned on, as you can see and hear. And great to see some of those old pictures when they used to bring patients out here to the square to soak up some sun, I suppose, some vitamin D. Let's talk to Charlotte, senior sister, who's just come off shift, I think off a night shift, and also to Jay's, a patient here at the hospital. How was last night?
Yes, good. Yeah, it was an okay shift. All went smoothly. So, yeah, very happy.
We don't use the Q word, though, do we?
No, definitely not. No.
And you were telling me, I think you've been here for 17 years?
Almost 17 years, yes. I joined Barts in 2006 as a junior staff nurse and just fell in love with the hospital and cardiothoracic nursing. And, yeah, 17 years later, I'm now a senior sister on the adult intensive care unit.
And you say you fell in love with the hospital. What does that mean?
It's such a special place to work. I think the team, it's more like working with a family, and yeah, I found a speciality that I love to work in and be a part of. So yeah.
And what was COVID like here?
It was very difficult and challenging time for myself and all other my colleagues as well. But I think that teamwork really shone through, and everyone pulled together and they really supported each other through a very difficult time in most people's careers. So I think that made it a lot easier than what it could have been.
Well, you did an extraordinary job, not just then, but always. And, you know, our thanks continually to you and the rest of the staff. Jay, good morning. Good to see you. Tell us about why you come to the hospital. You're a cancer patient.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed in early 2021, so still during the pandemic, with stage 3 bowel cancer. So that's when I started coming here, and it was all successfully cured. Unfortunately, then in early 2022, it reared its head again and came back in my liver, and I've been coming here regularly ever since for all of my treatment.
And what does your treatment entail at the moment?
A lot of chemotherapy. So, you know, I'm lucky that I get to go up onto the 7th floor, which has the best views in the entire hospital, and I'm looked after, and they pump my body full of rather noxious chemicals, basically to keep me alive.
And what does this place mean to you? You've probably seen more of it than you care to. But
yeah, I haven't yet completed every floor, but I'm working my way around. But this place means so much more than just, you know, bricks and mortar that, you know, have been here for, you know, hundreds of years. It's the little things, and more often than not, it's the people that work here. You know, the nurses are fundamental to my well-being, both just administering the care, but just being a smiley face. Like when I first started coming here, it was still during lockdown, and, you know, being up, isolated from other people, you know, not allowed the visitors, you know, seeing those friendly faces, you know, and, you know, warming and looking after me, it's so important.
And you talk about seeing the smiles when you come in. People would have been wearing masks, of course,
but you see it
during
in the
that
eyes.
time. You do.
You do see it in the eyes, and it makes way more of a difference than even I actually ever expected. Just that person-to-person connection.
And you talked about the teamwork. That's absolutely vital here, I gather.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And, it's one big family. We're all working together. Obviously, patients are at the centre of everything that we do, and listening to their journey and, inspires us to keep working collaboratively and building that team and helping promote the services that we deliver so that we can keep supporting our communities.
And it's a huge community here. I think you serve something like 1.5 million people, and then, as we say, you've got the specialities that will look after people from right across the country. Such a big hospital. How do you sort of keep that personal touch?
It is a big team, even in critical care. There's a lot of staff, but we all work really well together. We rotate across the units, and there's a great sense of collaboration, mutual respect. And, shared learning and development is also key as well. So I think they do that really well here. And
always developing, always growing.
Yeah.
And you were saying that the kit has changed a lot over the last 17 years.
Yeah, 17 years. I think I've been through about 3 different ventilators, and I often think when I wander over to the museum at some point I'm going to find something that I've worked with in the museum over that time. But yeah, a lot of developments, but I think that's what I enjoy the most. There's always opportunities to learn and grow and develop.
Yeah. And Jay, do you know how much longer you'll be coming to the hospital for?
Forever.
Yeah.
Basically. I had some news last week that basically means this is it. Not giving up, not lying down, not going to be a statistic, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, I'll be spending the rest of my life visiting this place and being looked after.
Fighting the good fight.
Fighting the good fight.
Right.
With an amazing team standing right behind me.
All right. Well, our very best to you, certainly. And Charlotte, thanks very much indeed. Great to see you this morning. Take the very best of care. It's quite touching, really, isn't it, I think, to hear that testimony, that first-hand testimony, just how well people are worked at, not just at this hospital, of course, right across the NHS, people who dedicate their lives to helping others, to saving others, to just trying to make their lives that little bit better. Back to you two.
Absolutely, John. It's really interesting. I know you're going to sort of show us around a little bit more and meet some more people later on. So for the moment, thank you.
Never get